So where we left off, our dear protagonist was learning how to read Sanskrit and understand it through a teacher named Miss Nandi. She's trying to understand a sacred text called The Seer and the Seen, which was deposited on her desk not so long ago by a mysterious being in her life named Sid. That night, as I lay in my narrow cot, fingering the corrugated beads of the mala that she was gifted by dear Miss Nandi, not unlike the Rudraksha mala around my neck, thoughts and images drifted by of the 10 boys that we heard in her story and their misguided leader, of the 7 stages of life where I had not advanced past stage 1, ignorance. Sanskrit had become my refuge, my excuse, and Om Depot, my safe haven, well away from the poisonous atmosphere that Pepe, my associate, and I now occupied. To him, I was ineffective, unsuccessful, a failure. I had let him down. I saw him as being inappropriately gullible and credulous in expecting me to wrench those girls that he was taking care of from their abusive families. Our work had become mechanical. There was no discussion, no laughter, no sharing of meals. There were also no news of the girls. One slim possibility was to pay off the village headman, who would sell his mother for a few dollars. But he would want a large sum. Where would we get it? We had no savings. I sat up, reached for my laptop. The day before he killed himself, Rory had emailed me videos of his older brother Jonas. I searched for the file. Theater of the absurd, I would have called them, had they not been real. Jonas, his muscular wrestler's body, well-oiled, hair slicked back in a loincloth, taking a stance like a sumo wrestler, and a naked, brown, half-starved boy cowering in a corner. Jonas's particular weakness, brown, half-starved boys, readily available at a reasonable price. Rory may have sent me the videos as protection, I thought. But protection from what? At that moment, I saw with sudden clarity that I could use the videos as leverage with his father. Helmut Gerhardt, chairman of the conglomerate Gerhardt Industries. He would not want these videos of his firstborn and heir apparent circulating across the internet. He would be humiliated if Jonas was arrested. And what would that do to the stock price? In exchange for the videos, I could name my price. Enough for the headman, for Pepe, for the abused girls, for me. Dreams, then nothing. 10 boys swim across a river. A sudden storm arises. The boys struggle against the current. They won't make it. The leader steps in last, but he is in trouble as well. I sleep the sleep of forgetting. And that's the end of the 3rd chapter. In between chapters, there's another layer to the story, as our protagonist is not just your average American woman, but the Divine Mother incarnate, along with the Divine Father and many other divine beings. And so this is the level of the story that's happening divinely. Is she for real? She's clueless. And where is he, the Lord of the universe? in a meditative trance or a drunken stupor? Muthu swung his aunt's plastic shopping bag onto the shop counter. Miss Nandi clucked disapprovingly as she examined the tomato that had tumbled out and then fished into the bag for okra, lentils, and packets of green beans and rice, thinking that she might make a spicy sambar for lunch. She threw Muthu a pitying glance. Here he was, Murugan, the Lord of War, who in past epochs had winged his way on his peacock Parvani across worlds to free enslaved peoples. Now, sadly in shorts, a half-sleeved polyester bush shirt, rubber chapels, and driving a patched-up car he'd put together himself. She secretly smiled to herself. She was pleased with her role at the time. In the past, she had been Nandi, the bull, Shiva's Vahana, his vehicle. She had his full protection, but she knew the gods did not respect her. They did not acknowledge the great service she performed daily for her Lord and humanity. This time, she was to be a teacher, appropriately, a female teacher. It was time for women to be recognized as the great teachers of the world. Sid, of course, was the world's teacher, but he was all logic and rationality. She would provide beauty, emotion, and the humanity of the teachings. The fate of the universe depended on this naive American girl being able to recognize who she was, and she, Nandi the Bull, Miss Nandi, proprietor of Om Depot and retired professor, was tasked to get her there. Any improvement from last year? Muthu asked churlishly. She is steeped in darkness, Murugan, his aunt said with a sigh, but she has taken the first step. She has returned to us. He headed for the door. By the way, I've accepted a job in a bank in Chennai, he said. Things are too slow around here, and I can barely make ends meet. I'll leave the car. You can rent it to the American. Tell her it's a hybrid. Part German, part Japanese, part this and part that. He let out a harsh cackle. Unruffled, Miss Nandi put away the shopping bag and pulled out a fresh sheet of paper from a sheaf on the counter. Had she trotted out the antiquated tale of the 10th boy too soon? The rishis, those ancient sages, taught through stories, but this time, a direct American approach might be more effective. With relish, Miss Nandi sharpened a pencil and began the delightful task of preparing a lesson plan. And Ganesha, any news? Muthu stopped to inquire after his little brother. No news, Miss Nandi said, and the two remained silent for a few moments. Both knew that without the auspicious one, nothing could begin. And thus we also end the first act of this book. Next time, we'll begin the second act. Ayam Atma Brahma, the self is Brahman. A quote from the Mandukya Upanishad. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to continuing this with you next time. Things are in motion. Action is rising. And our dear American is beginning to embark on the quest to discover her true nature as the Divine Mother of the universe. May these readings continue to calm your mind and awaken your heart. Namaste.